Anthony Baney from the Buffalo Cannabis Movement. I just want to say that I did research for last year on the arrest statistics on who's being arrested for low-level possession of cannabis, and we found that over 80% were, African Americans. So we're clearly enforcing a law disproportionately against minority communities. Last time we had come and testified, Council President Pridgeon had brought up that those who sell cannabis to children are criminals. Well, my question is, why are the majority of those being arrested under the age of 22 or 23? We're arresting mostly 18 to 25-year-olds. If they're selling to kids, they're pretty much kids themselves. Why aren't we targeting 30, 40-year-olds? So this is an issue that we should talk about. Another issue that Councilmember Fontana had brought up at a previous hearing was that he had been to a bodega and they were selling cannabis under the table. Well, if you had legal dispensaries that were registered with the Liquor Authority, then they would have to have an ID to get that cannabis. And you would have a lot less in the underground market. And if it was in the underground market, I'm sure it would be going to adults and not children. We need to really think about that. And I mean, when we're targeting minorities and neighborhoods, you're causing distrust between the community and the police. And we don't want to see what's going on throughout our country happening in our area. I mean, Councilmember Wingo was at the Black Lives Matter rally, and he spoke talking about how Black Lives Matter. Well, I mean, if we really think that Black Lives Matter, let's stop arresting them for something that we know whites and blacks do the same of. I was in Tonawanda doing door-to-door petitioning, and I seen multiple people consuming cannabis, white people. How come they're allowed to go about freely to do this, but yet we target African-American youth? It's disgusting because it takes away from their opportunities and future careers.
Probably if you had a cannabis petition, they felt a lot more comfortable, I would presume, in Tonawanda. Mr. Wingo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spoke to Anthony earlier today, and we had a quick conversation. I asked Anthony if you could tell us exactly what you want in about 2 to 3 minutes. I think we can make progress, but I think we're fatigued now because of all of the explanations and all of the anecdotes that were conveyed today. Then Chair Franzak asked again in one sentence, what do you want from the council? And then we moved on to another subject, which has nothing to do with, I believe, what you would be petitioning us for.
Well, there are two separate proposals.
Anthony, don't interrupt me, please. So, as far as my presence at an event this past weekend, I explained exactly why I was there, and it was not to take a position on a movement. It was to recognize the fact that there is a disproportionate minority representation, not only on the police force and law enforcement, but also in the justice judicial system. So blacks have always been disproportionately represented in vast areas. So when you talk about cannabis, let's not make this about race, please. If you want us to pass some legislation or to write a resolution requesting that the governor of the state make it legal for you to grow and dispense cannabis in all of its forms for all of these different types of applications, then say that. But do not make your request and try to petition this council based on race. The fact that I live as a black man every day. Do not try, please, to ever just don't insult me and ever try to appeal to me based off of what I know to be true and what I live on a daily basis. So I'm going to ask again, if we could, in one sentence or in 1 minute, ask you what it is you would like from this council to do. Now, I've only been here since September, and I've only met you a few times, and you've always been very respectful. Today, you kind of teetered on the line of disrespect about what you were tired of this and tired of that. So what I really want to know, again, and as Chair Franzek had asked earlier, what exactly is it that you would like for this council to do in very clear and explicit terms, so that maybe then we could begin to move forward on something tangible? Because right now, I've only been here since September, and I'm still lost as to what you want, because the last time you came to my office, it was for the legalization of this. The next time you come to my office, and Anthony, you're a smart guy. You have a lot of information. But what I need to know is, what exactly are you frustrated with that you have not seen action from this council, so that we can at this time begin to move forward on whatever it is we can do? Anyone can answer that question.
Okay, well, I personally think that the council needs to write up a resolution in which they come to an agreement with the commissioner that there needs to be a study of why we are targeting minorities in the community of Buffalo, and there needs to be an agreement to not enforce the law if it's for low possession, because not harming anybody. And if we are going to enforce this law, it has to be equal, because you can't have 38% of the city being African American and making up 80% of the rest.
Let me just say, your statement doesn't mention that. It just mentions that anybody with 2 ounces or less of marijuana would be decriminalized. That's what you're saying here, regardless of, ethnicity or what have you. Right? Yeah.
And again, Mr. Chair, real quick, again, Anthony, please just make this about the legalization and what this can do for the community. We've heard the anecdotes already from various people, how it has helped their quality of life. So if that's what this is about, that's what this is about. And we'll know, as a result of whatever happens with the passing of this legislation, certain people won't be targeted because of that. A certain population will no longer be charged or targeted because of that. Talk about what you want us to do. Talk about what we can do, and then we can move forward.
Councilmember Ferletta.